Welcome to this edition of the 3 and 2 What's He Gonna Do podcast. I'm Dan Zielinski of the thirdmanin.com and Baseball Prospect Journal. Joined as always with Collin Cannonberg of statswipe.com. And Collin, we're back. It's been a few months.
We are back. And baseball is back.
Baseball's back.
Yep.
Opening days, 3 weeks away?
Just about. Yeah. And we had some hot dogs tonight just to kind of get in the mood, get the baseball juices flowing, or at least juices that will make our hearts stop someday.
Weather's nice for the next couple of days. It feels like spring, feels like baseball.
It does.
So before we talk about the Brewers and all the latest baseball news, we did want to talk about the Milwaukee Panthers men's basketball team.
Yep.
Their season just wrapped up, 10-12 to finish the 2020-2021 season. It's kind of a weird year with COVID-19. They had a couple weekends that were canceled, no fans, but the ending was exciting. I don't remember seeing buzz like that for the Milwaukee Panthers in some time.
Oh, yeah, the town was buzzing for
the
them.
State was buzzing.
The state was. I mean, considering that UW-Madison was just taking a dive, the whole second half of the season. Marquette was bad. Yeah. Let's be honest, UWM was the face of Wisconsin basketball at that point, as they came into this tournament, and they came in hot. They had some double overtime wins, and they were coming in with some momentum. I think it was just exciting stuff.
Well, and because they ended the regular season kind of one of those typical Panthers slumps where they fade down the stretch, but then they got into Horizon League tournament play, won their first game at home, and then faced off against number 2 seed Wright State on the road on a Monday and on a Tuesday. And we're down 24 with 6.5 minutes left.
ESPN gave them like a .01 chance.
They looked terrible. I mean, I gave up on them. I didn't even turn them on because after dinner I checked the score. They were down at half. Went and worked out with 5 seconds left in the second half. Noticed the game was tied, but either way, a historic comeback, one really for the ages. Came back from 24 down, 6.5 minutes left, won in overtime to face number 1 seed Cleveland State in Indianapolis. And the Panthers had their chances, led most of the second half, and it just kind of got away from them towards the end. There was a few plays in the second half and even at the end of the first half that really kind of dictated this game and really was kind of the difference.
Right, yeah. I mean, the two plays in particular, at the end of half, Josh Thomas got a steal, started to, had an open look at a layup, and literally like 0.1 seconds separated that between those 2 points. And Lucas too in the second half down the stretch, just 0.2 seconds. So
three.
Yeah,
that was a huge three.
And I mean, you look at those 5 points, and that could have made the difference there.
Yeah, it was disappointing to see them lose in a way because they did lead for most of that second half. But overall, I think it's kind of a positive year. I mean, if you would have told me they would have been a Final Four team in the conference tournament, regardless of what their record was, I would have been happy with that. And even to tell me that they nearly almost knocked off the number 1 seed after knocking off the number 2 seed, I would have been thrilled with that.
And we see this year after year where UWM knocks off the top seeds in the tournament, in the Horizon League tournament, and just can't finish that run. I remember a few years ago when they were in the finals, they had beat down Valpo.
That was a different team, though.
Yeah, it was, but still, I feel like that's part of. I think they're a tournament team, despite not making it all the way into March Madness.
I'm happy with this year. It was a shame that I didn't get to see a game in person. Now, second year in a row, I haven't seen a game in person. Snapped like a 20-year run last year, a 19-year run. But I think this is some momentum going into next year. They lose 3 seniors potentially. All 3 could come back because of the NCAA's rule with the extra year of eligibility. So maybe they'll get 1 guy back or 2. But I think there's definitely some momentum going into next year, especially if no key guys transfer or anything like that. And the potential of Patrick Baldwin Jr., who ESPN currently has as the 4th-ranked prospect in the 2021 class, potentially coming to play for his dad.
Right. Yeah. He should be making a decision soon. I feel like already it's almost too late. Not too late, but it's later than you'd expect.
I thought the same thing. I thought this process has been kind of weird because like you would think he would know, but someone told me the other day or said, "What about? Do you think he's just waiting to not overshadow his dad in the season, and wants to make his decision until after the year?" Which, after thinking about that, I can buy that. But let's see how much time in between now and his decision it is. If it's another 2 months, then I don't know. Because to me, it's I get the allure of Duke, but why are you going to Duke? You're not going to win a national championship next year, most likely.
Right.
And then Jalen Johnson, another Wisconsin guy who was there at Duke this year, didn't have a good year at all, clashed with Coach K.
Yeah, they didn't get along.
Duke has a couple other top prospects coming in who are kind of small forward, power forward types. So he's going to have to compete a little bit for playing time. Like, I just don't see there being so much that outweighs the fact that you can stay home, play in front of your family, play with your dad, most importantly, and you're still, if you perform up to a high level, still going to be a lottery pick.
Yeah, right. People still notice despite going to a mid-major school. Yeah. I think too there's something to be said. He could put Milwaukee back on the map. I mean, let's be honest, it's called UWM Panther Arena. You just need one star, Pat Baldwin Jr., and it's Pat Baldwin Jr. court eventually. So,
and I wonder, I know, again, it's kind of late in the recruiting process, and the recruiting in general is kind of weird because of COVID and guys being able to come back. There might not be the roster spots potentially. But you would think if he commits, why wouldn't another even like highly talented 3-star guy want to come play here?
Yeah. So, I think he could lead in a nice class overall, and
even if it's just him too. I mean, if DeAndre Golston comes back, he's only a junior as long as he doesn't transfer. It just seems like guys always transfer regardless of the program, so you can never guarantee the guy's going to be back. But if he's back and they got junior coming back or coming in, and then hopefully maybe they can keep either a Josh Thomas or a Tijon Lucas.
Yeah.
And one guy who didn't play this year, who Pat Baldwin was high on, is Jordan Latham, who's a UTEP transfer, and he scored like 28 against Marquette at the Fiserv Forum in 2019-2020 season.
Okay.
So he's a talented guard too. So I think there's going to be plenty of talent on this team where with even just junior, they'll be able to compete.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It'll be fun to watch. I think they're trending in the right direction, which is something, we want to see, especially with UWM's in the past, getting a coach, losing a coach, getting a coach, losing a coach. I think having some stability and hopefully Baldwin can stick around and foster this program.
And Baldwin's a guy you root for. He's just a great guy, but as a coach, kind of hard-nosed, coaches defense, things like that. His teams never quits. So it's going to be fun. We'll see what the announcement happens. If Junior commits, I think we're going to have a party. So
yes,
I know my dad
we'll be dancing. We'll be dancing too.
It'll be fun. We'll see. I guess moving on now, talking about the Milwaukee Brewers, a lot of news recently over the last month or two with some free agent acquisitions and just some news and excitement with the season starting soon. They signed Collin Wong, the former Cardinals second baseman, a couple months ago or a month ago. And they just recently signed Jackie Bradley Jr., the outfielder who was formerly with the Boston Red Sox. Both moves vastly improved the defense. Both moves I like, and I'm not going to complain with by any means.
Yeah, just think about the runs saved at second base alone. Going from Keston Hiura to Collin Wong is such a big improvement. I think that's worth something, especially up the middle.
I think it's worth $10 million.
Yeah, I do. I think it definitely is. And Wong has been, inconsistent at the plate, no doubt, but he's still fairly young, I think.
Yeah, early 30s at the very latest.
Which, he could be.
He's not over the hill by any means.
No.
What I like about him and Jackie Bradley Jr., both left-handed guys, both come from winning winning track records.
Yeah.
Whether that's Jackie Bradley Jr. when he was with South Carolina or even with the Red Sox.
Yeah, he won the World Series.
And Wong is the same way with the Cardinals. He said, which I laughed about, how he's kind of enjoying the changes from being in the Cardinals way.
Oh, wow.
he said it's just kind of a breath of fresh air. But Keston Hira, I could go on a rant with that guy because I told everyone that when he got drafted, before he got drafted, he can't play defense because of the arm, and no one wanted to listen to me. And last year, his offense didn't make up for the lack of defense.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's a make or break year for a guy who's only going to be in his third year, but this year could dictate if he's only kind of a DH type. If he doesn't hit this year, what do you have in this guy? Because he can't play defense, and that means 2 straight years of bad offensive production.
Yeah, I mean, he lives and dies by the bat, no doubt.
He's striking out a ton.
Strikes out a ton.
Spring training.
He's going to be a 3 true outcomes guy. I mean, he's going to strike out or homer pretty much, and that's really not the type that the Brewers should be having right now.
Well, and I just don't get it too, because he was a guy which I talked to one scout who said he could be a guy who hits 320, doesn't have a ton of power, or he could be a guy who hits like 275, 280, has a lot of power, which usually when you hit for more power, some strikeouts come.
Yeah.
But he was a guy who was like really good hitter in college, hit for average, things like that. Corey Ray, the former 5th overall pick, top prospect, former minor league player of the year in the Brewers organization, same way. Guys like the same profile almost, power only, high strikeout. So I don't know what it is with the Brewers and their prospects. Garrett Mitchell's tearing the cover off the ball right now, though. So he looks different. But going back to just the signings, I really like both moves. I like the Jackie Bradley move. That was kind of a move that was rumored about for a bit, like about a month ago. We kind of heard some stuff about it. Then it kind of disappeared, and all of a sudden, wake up, check my phone at like 5, 6 a.m. Brewers had signed him overnight, and I like the move. I mean, guy's been around for 8 years. He's nearly 31 years old. I compare him to a very similar kind of player as Lorenzo Cain, but younger.
Right. Yeah, he is that similar profile. Guy's, got some speed, and again, his bat has been average to below average. He peaked in 2016 when
2020 he did pretty good too, but
that's kind of a short, depending on how you take last season.
Size,
but 2016 he hit 267, had 26 home runs, and even in 2019 he hit 21 home runs but only hit 225. So I don't know. He's a great base runner, incredible base runner. I think he has a lot of value in that sense as well. So I like it too. I think that, first of all, I wonder, is any ball going to hit the ground in that outfield? Because it's just, they have people who can cover ground for sure.
Yeah, we're going to have to get into that. One more point I'll say about Bradley Jr. and Lorenzo Cain. Cain hits a little bit more for average, whereas Bradley hits a little more for power. And I wonder in Miller Park, where the right field porch is a little short, I wonder if that's going to help him too. So that's something to watch. And Andy's younger. I mean, he's, let's see here. Cain is nearly 35, so 4 years younger pretty much. That says something too. And Cain had a bad 2019 offensively. Didn't play really at all in 2020. Now he's kind of banged up to start spring training. So
he's always banged up.
But if you look at his, like, how many games he plays in a year, he's played a good amount of games over the last 5 years. So my biggest question is, if everyone's healthy, perfect world, who do you start opening day in the outfield?
I think that trio of JBJ, Lorenzo, and Yelich.
So you start Lorenzo over Avisail Garcia?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just think Lorenzo's the better hitter. I think you have to give the bat a chance with the money that we're paying him. I think you give him a chance and instill confidence in him that the organization still believes that he can perform.
What blows my mind is Lorenzo Cain is going to make $17 million this year. He's the highest paid player in that outfield because Yelich's extension hasn't kicked in yet. And I mean, Avisail Garcia, he's down 36 pounds. He's down to 235.
He's one of those best shape of his life guys.
Yep. So, but at first, before I did a little research before this podcast, I would have said put Avisail Garcia in right field. He's going to hit for more power. Just better middle of the lineup type bat.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started looking at the numbers, and all three guys' numbers are fairly similar. I mean, I'll read them here quickly. In a 162 game average, Abisail Garcia throughout his 9-year career is averaging 24 doubles, 19 home runs, 77 RBIs, 271 batting average.
Mm-hmm.
Lorenzo Cain, 162 average, 288, 32 doubles, 12 home runs, 63 RBIs. Jackie Bradley Jr. is 30 doubles, 18 home runs, 70 RBIs, 239. So
yeah,
Garcia is kind of in the middle of those two guys. Lorenzo Cain's probably the best. Yeah, is the best one. Frankly, doesn't have as much power. But if Lorenzo Cain, if you're confident he can play right field, which I don't see why not, or would you put Bradley in right field? I probably put the reason I say Bradley in center just because he's younger and I think maybe a little faster.
I think he can cover more.
But then you put Cain in left and Yelich in right. I think Yelich prefers left, but I think he's fine playing right.
I think so. Yeah.
That's how I would line it up.
I don't know. I think it depends. I think part of it depends on the condition that Cain is feeling.
For sure.
If he's banged up and not at 100%, which is most times, maybe not having him in center. But I think they're going to give him plenty of rest days and kind of mix Abisail in there in right field and move JBJ. So I think Cain's going to get that center field spot, and then on days where he's off, JBJ gets center, Abisail gets right.
I kind of thought they maybe would try Garcia at first a little bit, but as much to my knowledge, they haven't put him at all at first base so far since the move, which that must mean they're extremely confident in Keston that he's going to get the job done. Now, I don't know if Garcia really has much first base experience anyways, but I thought maybe just another opportunity to occasionally get his bat in.
Right. Yeah, I don't think they want to. I think they want Keston in that lineup, and obviously just if there's a DH, that's where Keston would be. But
right, for sure. Are you? We were talking about fantasy baseball before this, and you have Christian Yelich as a keeper on your fantasy team. But you sound a little worried that he might not fully kind of rebound. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Mr. Hall of Fame this upcoming year.
Yeah.
But I'm not too worried about him.
I'm not worried in a sense that he's going to hit 200 again. But I mean, in terms of what I'm saying with keepers, where we all get 3 keepers, is he going to be that caliber?
Do you think are you worried he's not even going to hit, like, I hate using 280 because 280 seems so just cliche, but like 280 with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs and steal some bases?
I'd keep that. Yeah, I guess.
But you're worried he's going to do worse than that.
I mean, I'm putting him up against Xander Bogaerts and Corey Seager.
Would you think with that stat line I just said, I know that's very basic, would you think that's a quality year for him?
Yeah.
Or are you expecting that?
I mean, I hope he's in the MVP race.
Right.
And those numbers probably get him still in like the 5th range of the MVP. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess odds are I'm keeping him on my fantasy team, whatever our listeners. I feel like since you're in the same league, you're trying to kind of maybe.
No, because I know someone's not going to select keepers, so they're going to have a crack at them before I do.
So, yeah, no, I have confidence Yelly will bounce back. Obviously, it can't be as bad. I think last year so much of it was mental, where he just didn't think the season was going to play through. I don't think he wanted to work hard at a season he didn't see happening. And then it happened to happen, and he's like, well, I guess this is a down season.
And I think he had, kneecap injury from 2019, and I don't know how healthy he was even last year. I know he had a extended time off, but I still just wonder how healthy he was, or even in condition he was necessarily for the year. But I feel like he's going to bounce back. I mean, if he hits 270, 280 with 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, that sounds like a pretty good year. At that point, I would think the Brewers' offense is going to be better than worst or one of the worst in the National League.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, frankly, to me, I think they have the pitching. I'm concerned about their offense.
Right. Yeah. I think there's some guys who will have there's so many question marks, which we know how those question marks work out from last year. But you have to look at Omar Narvaez, who had an off year last year. Who, bad year. It was atrocious. But his career tells you that he should improve. Travis Shaw might have a bounce back year. Whoever's at third, yeah.
Jed Jerko was their most productive guy, and he wasn't that productive at third.
No. But I don't know. Again, I think if you can get some production out of these guys that last year didn't perform, they have an offense to compete.
You think they are the favorites going into the regular season for the National League Central?
It's hard to say. I almost would choose the Cardinals, but I know Dakota has the Brewers, and I see why, because the division is so weak, and we can get into it. Their pitching staff is good. It's kind of underrated almost.
I think from top to bottom, it's the best pitching staff in the division. You can make a case maybe the Cardinals might have a slightly better starting rotation, but even then, it's tough to argue against the Brewers starting rotation because the Reds have Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, not much after him. Wade Miley's the most proven guy they have after him. The Cardinals have Flaherty, Wainwright, Carlos Martinez, and Miles Michaelis. What are you going to get from Wainwright, Martinez, Michaelis? Those three guys could either be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So they've got names, but it's not necessarily.
Those three
guys you're gonna die with.
I bet those three combined will have an ERA 4.30, 4.80.
Yeah. That's why I think if Corbin Burns kind of can duplicate what he did in 2020.
Yeah.
With him and Woodruff, Woodruff, if you want to put some money on a guy to win Cy Young, look at Woodruff because
for sure
his odds are great. And he's pitched pretty well the last few years where I think him and Burns could really form a formidable 1-2 punch. And then I like the options they have after him too. Even.
Right. Yeah, no. And I think that all those guys give them a chance to win. Who would be after them?
Eric Lauer, I think he's struggled a lot. I don't even know if he makes a big league club out of spring training. He might be getting sent to AAA. But Brett Anderson, you would have to assume makes it because they wouldn't have re-signed him. Granted, it was a cheap deal, which I think was a steal too. I like Brett Anderson if he's healthy. That's a huge question because of the blister issue he seems to always have. But he's a ground ball pitcher too. Mm-hmm. So hopefully maybe with the improved defense, that's helps. Josh Lindblom, you would hope he's better.
Yeah.
Got a lot of potential in the arm, but has to show it. Adrian Hauser is kind of the same way. Bunch of potential, got to show it. Freddie Peralta can make the same case. He's a guy who would be a really big weapon out of the bullpen, but he's got the stuff where if he's on, he could be a solid starter too. So,
Yeah, right. I think Peralta as a 4, Brett Anderson as a 3.
Right, or even, whatever you feel about Hauser and Lindblom.
The
Brewers seem to like both guys, and I think they're going to give both those guys at least at some point a chance to start. I feel like Peralta might be the odd guy out simply because you kind of know what you have in him as a reliever if you put him in the bullpen.
Sure.
And he can be that back-end type arm. Aaron Ashby is a guy who was impressing, I think, last week. So I think they've got some other options. Eric Lauer might have kind of pitched himself out of a chance here anytime soon, but we'll see. It's still only spring training, but he didn't look good last year and not off to a good start. But if you look at their bullpen, it still blows my mind they didn't trade Josh Hader. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess he's a weapon now coming in, knowing the expectations and that the Brewers are in.
And what you're paying for him, it's not crazy money, but he's still a guy throwing only mid-90s. His average fastball was just, I want to say, below 95, 94 or something. Mm-hmm. And he's a 2-pitch pitcher, and I feel like guys have kind of figured him out. Right. Devin Williams, he's not going to be as good as last year, but I still think he could be a reliable guy.
Yeah.
So, you really need a starter. I know this is cliche again, but starter to go 6 innings, and I think the Brewers are in good shape because then you got to find someone for the 7th inning and play matchups at that point. So they got some power arms. I mean, Drew Rasmussen is a big time arm. Justin Topa, however you say that, he's not a power arm, but he was effective at times last year. Or maybe he is the guy with the big arm. Either way, Eric Yardley is another guy who's kind of a soft tosser but effective. So, and then like they've got guys like Brett Boxberger, who they signed to a minor league deal. I think that could be a sneaky pickup.
Yeah, because he was good. Back with Tampa.
He was even decent last year with the Marlins.
Yeah,
Phil Bickford, who knows what you got in him? Big time arm. Bobby Wall, same deal. So, I mean, they got definitely options, which is always good to have. And I think, like I said, it's all going to come down to their lineup this year and scoring runs.
Right.
It is pitching.
Yeah, and I think just obviously with that division being atrocious, really,
worst division in baseball.
Yeah, it is the worst division in baseball. I can just see it already. I can see the Brewers having getting swept 4 games by the Pirates, and we'd be like, "Yep, that's about right."
And they'll probably be at American Family Field, and we'll probably be there watching them get blown out by the Pirates.
I was confused. I heard you say American Family.
I almost said Miller Park, but I figured I should.
No, I think we should be a podcast that supports Miller Park in any way. When you said that, I was almost thinking Great American Ballpark, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's not what you were saying." So,
but if you had to rank the teams going into the season, I know still a little early. We still got a few weeks, and we're probably going to do more of an official one between now and the start of the season. But I'd probably put a couple weeks ago on a different podcast. I said Cardinals won. That was before Jackie Bradley signing. But I still, even though the Cardinals pitching staff has some questions, their lineup is more, I think, predictable. And the Brewers lineup kind of worries me still, even with the names, just because how many guys struggled last year.
Yeah.
So if I had to put them in order real quick, Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, Reds, Pirates is how I see it playing out.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I see it.
The team, to get into postseason, the Brewers are going to have to win the division.
Right. And the Cardinals, it's odd. I mean, they have you think they have the big names. They have Goldschmidt and Arenado now, who just
Paul DeYoung, though, still.
Yeah.
Matt Carpenter.
He's kind
of aging.
Yeah, he's kind of gone. And with Jack Flaherty, so they
Yadier.
Yeah. They have the names.
Yeah.
It's just there's such disparity between the top guys and their lower guys.
Yeah, so
and Bader is fun. I like Bader.
And they got like Dylan Carlson, who's a former top prospect.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's on prospect list.
I don't think anymore.
I don't think so, but he was a former top guy, and so I just, even though they've got more of a range where the Brewers are more like talent-wise are kind of closer together.
Can you name 3 Pirates?
Oof.
That's how bad they are now.
I should, but I'm thinking like Josh Bell, and he got traded.
Yep.
Chris Archer's gone. Mark Melanson's no longer around.
Like, I think first name that comes to mind is Collin Moran, and then after that it's
they have Cabrian Hayes, top prospect who's gonna play. Oh, do they still got Kevin Newman, the shortstop?
Oh, they may have Kevin Newman and what's that long hair guy? I didn't know the Todd Father was on the Pirates.
They just signed him.
Good for Todd Father.
Oh yeah, Tony Walters they signed. Cole Tucker.
How
did we forget Cole Tucker?
That's right. Cole Tucker was quoted on a broadcast as being one of the most exciting players in baseball.
I think his brother is more exciting. No,
it's
Cole.
Right. But
Carson, I think, is going to be a better player.
Yikes. What a lineup.
Who's in their outfield?
Brian Reynolds. He could play. I mean, he put up good
Dustin Fowler. Who was he with before?
Rockies and Cubs. Oh, I'm thinking Dexter. Yep.
Dustin, I feel like was you click on his name.
Yeah.
That name sounds familiar. Maybe I'm just thinking Dexter too.
I think we're thinking Dexter, the Pirates.
Brian Goodwin they have. Yikes.
Oh, Gregory Polanco's still on the team.
Oh, they didn't trade him?
Not yet. No, I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yankees, Oakland. I remember that name. He was a former top prospect 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I think he was he the one that, like, got hurt right after getting traded to Oakland? Remember that? He, like, ran into the sidewall.
Yes, I remember that guy now. I know him because of the injury. Yeah.
Yikes. That's – can you name their manager?
Isn't it still what's
hired
his
him
face?
before this.
Oh yeah, no, it's not then.
They hired him I think before 2020, right?
Yeah.
I want to say Brandon Hyde, but that's the Orioles.
I mean, did they hire the equipment manager? I don't know that guy's name. I just
hold on. Pirates manager. Derek Shelton.
Oh, okay, I forgot.
I don't know, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting division. Definitely wide open, like we said. I think it's the weakest division on paper. But hey, we just gotta get into the postseason. I mean, the Dodgers are the overwhelming favorite again this year to win the World Series. So it's gonna be interesting.
But that West division will be.
Yeah. Do we want to talk a little Packers?
Yeah, I was just kind of bringing that up. The Packers elected not to franchise Aaron Jones.
And I don't think they used the franchise tag on even Corey Linsley either. So
right,
kind of surprising.
Yeah, Aaron Jones he's a playmaker. I think it's hard to find guys like him. Going last year, I was like, okay, he had a good year, but I think he's disposable. I think a lot of running backs are disposable. But boy, I feel like it helped Aaron Rodgers almost by having a guy like Aaron Jones who he could trust, and having a guy in a backfield you can trust is kind of huge. And I think it's hard to give up Aaron Jones.
I mean, they're in cap hell right now.
Yeah.
Like with the salary cap being lower than expected, they're gonna have to make some tough decisions. I still think they probably cut a name or two that like a Preston Smith or because even if they restructure a bunch of guys, they're in huge cap issues next year. So like the window might be kind of closing quicker than we think, but you still got an MVP quarterback, so you still got to go for it. That's why I didn't like the move of Kenny Clark. I don't like the idea of re-signing Aaron Jones because I think Dylan can be a decent replacement. I think you can find a veteran for cheap that'll do something Jamal Williams did if you don't bring him back. And frankly, I know left tackle is one of the most important positions. I didn't like the David Bakhtiari re-signing.
I like that one.
No, because they're paying him like
one.
He's like the highest paid left tackle or something.
I think it's worth it for protecting Rodgers.
No, I think you could have gotten an adequate replacement for him for a lot cheaper.
I think you pay money for great left tackle.
But when you're in such bad cap situation already, I don't know. They were fine without him when he got hurt.
Yeah, I haven't looked how they exactly did with
Rodgers barely got hit at all this year.
Yeah.
And like the former Badger guy who they got rid of, Ricky Wagner, did fine when he came in and played. Like I don't think, and Kenny Clark too, like great defensive tackle, but like give me a guy who's gonna sack the quarterback. I know, I mean, Kenny Clark does a great job stuffing the run, things like that, but like I feel like it's easier to replace that than it is a pass rusher or needing another receiver or something like that.
I'd like to know what the Packers were offering JJ.
Cardinals were ridiculous. So what they give him, $32 million?
Yeah.
For a guy who's injury prone, and JJ Watt, give me a break. I don't want to hear winning out of his mouth again. He cannot say he ever wants to win because he chose to go to the Cardinals. Who
you can make a case for them being able to win, but
I'll say though, the Rams are going to be tough with Stafford now.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson's still in Seattle, so they're at least going to win 8 games.
Yep. San Francisco no longer will have those, hopefully not those injury problems for their sake.
And they still, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's not a very good quarterback, but everywhere else they got a lot of talent. Like, that division's not easy to win by any means.
No.
And for what he got paid, I was fine that he didn't sign with the Packers.
For sure. The Packers couldn't afford that.
He would have gotten hurt in the first preseason game and been out for the rest of the year. And then, so I still think, they're going to make a couple tough decisions. I don't think Corey Linsley's going to be back. That's one guy I think's gone. They can't afford to pay a guy high money at center because he's going to command top 5 at his position.
Right.
Probably. Can't afford it. Aaron Jones, same way. You can't afford what he's going to want. I think he's going to be a guy that goes to like the Dolphins or something like that. He's got Jacksonville, huge salary cap space to throw some money around. So.
Yeah, but I think this division too is an easy. It should be the Packers division.
No, I wouldn't say that.
You think the Bears have
think if the Bears could get at least an average quarterback.
If they get Alex Smith, do you think
he's better than Nick Foles?
Yeah.
And I can't believe they're holding on to Nick Foles like he's some prized possession. They've got a championship level defense. If they had any average quarterback, they're in the Super Bowl or competing for a Super Bowl the last couple of years. That's why I think they need to just do whatever they can to acquire Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. It's going to cost a lot, but give me a franchise quarterback with that defense, and that team is the best, and they're like pretty much Tampa Bay with a younger quarterback if you get Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. Heck, if I was them, I'd go after Ryan Fitzpatrick. The guy's getting older, but the guy's still better than Nick Foles and Trubisky.
Yeah.
So
the Bears are blowing it. They are blowing their opportunity by not investing in a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. And I was looking at the Lions too. I saw an interview.
Oh boy.
Do you like Dan Campbell, new coach?
He's gonna bring some excitement. I'll say that.
Dude, I think I like the move.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It's either going to work out really well or really bad. It's no in between.
Boy, I don't think he can get worse than Patricia was. That experience.
That never made sense. Why they got rid of Jim Caldwell, who yes, he was only winning 8 to 10 games a year, but heck, that was more wins than they were getting before that. Yeah. And definitely since after. And then they hired a defensive coach, and they go under the Belichick tree, which has not produced head coaches for whatever reason. Has not worked out. So I mean, it's gonna be a nice change of pace.
I think the players are gonna buy into Dan Campbell. I think it'll be a good leadership there now.
What I'll say too is the Lions have pretty much said like we're kind of rebuilding. Like we know 2021 is not gonna be our year.
Right.
So I think that's a good mindset to have. Not going to the year with Jared Goff, who I think Jared Goff's an average quarterback. I don't think it's a bad move. He's average.
Oh, yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, I was agreeing.
But he's not going to win a Super Bowl. Like, he's a guy you could flip, if anything. But, like, so going into this year, not kind of pushing off those expectations, I think is smart to do because otherwise you're setting up the team, the fans to all of a sudden kind of start losing a bit.
Yeah.
So, I think Jared Goff. Heck, I'd rather have Jared Goff than Trubisky or Foles.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I think so. But I'm really by the Vikings either. So.
No, because their defense has gotten weaker.
Yeah, it has.
Cousins has not been the quarterback that was with the Washington football team.
Right. He's average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be the Packers offseason will be something to watch. The draft is a month and a half away, so
it's coming up.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
I don't think they'll take a quarterback in the first round again, but
they'll
probably take someone boring like an offensive lineman or something like that.
We need to get back to boring.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So then I think they'll do it now, but next week we should kind of preview March Madness.
Yeah, send us your listener questions.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
We're glad to be back. We hope you enjoy this episode as well.
Yeah.
You can find all of our podcasts on anywhere you can find podcasts: Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Yep.
He's Collin Cannonberg. I'm Dan Zielinski. Thank you for listening to this edition of the 3 and 2 What's He Gonna Do podcast.